Hey everyone, we are super excited to be spreading awareness and destigmatizing mental health in the Black and Brown communities.
This podcast is a safe place for us to discuss our adversities and even our shortcomings. We all have a story.
Just remember, no matter what we go through, our story goes on. Hi everyone, welcome to Our Story Goes On, episode 7. Right? Episode 7. And today we have Adonis with us today instead of Joe. So welcome, Adonis. I'm so excited for you to be back. For the ones who listened last year, he was on our season last year. I don't remember what episode it was. I remember what we talked about. I don't remember the number.
It might be like 3 or something like that.
Something like that. But he has been with us before, so we're so excited to have him. So welcome.
Good to be back.
Yeah, so today we're going to be talking about the importance of reciprocation, how not to take things personal. What else do we have?
Everything in between.
Everything in between, yes, for sure. But it's a good topic because, Adonis and I were actually talking for a bit before our episode started today, too. And I feel like I just love talking to Adonis. He's just such a calming energy, and that's why I knew he was the best one to come on with us today while Joe needed to step out for today for the next 2 episodes. So where should we start?
Let's start with a little check-in.
All right.
How you feeling today?
I'm feeling good today. I am fully recovered from COVID. Thank the Lord. But yeah, I'm happy to be here today, and I decided, since I was in quarantine, that I needed to do a little bit of a reset for today. So I cleaned my house, and I got ready for today. I'm going to go grocery shopping after, because...
Get that food, get that nourishment.
Yeah, because your girl has no food because I was in quarantine. And then I'm just, later tonight, I'm going to, do a lot of... meditation, journaling, because I didn't do anything this week because I was just not up for it. I had no energy. I didn't exercise. So I'm going to just do a little bit of a reset today.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
But how are you feeling? How are you today?
I'm feeling so at peace right now.
Yeah?
Just so chill and relaxed. Just you could say the craziest thing to me, and I'll just look at you like, it's not about me, and walk away.
Yeah. I love that, though. I would like to be on Adonis' level every day.
Meditation, hours and hours of meditation.
Right. All right, so that's good. And how was your new year? How did you enter 2022?
It was an experience.
Yeah,
for sure. My friend and I, we went to Wildwood Beach.
Oh, okay. I've never been there.
It's not the best.
It's not the best.
It's good when no one's there.
Right, okay.
But it was foggy and it was something out of a horror movie.
Ooh,
honestly,
okay.
Because we were walking on the beach towards the water, and you can't see anything.
Oh wow!
And then off to your left side, you see the amusement park, and it's closed down, no lights on or anything.
Oh, wow.
It just looks mad creepy, but. That being said, I welcomed the new year in with a meditation on the beach.
Oh, that's so cool.
And just hanging out with one of my favorite people on earth.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Friend.
What made you guys choose Wildwood?
It's close to the beach. And also AC is not,
oh, yeah,
I don't count AC as a beach.
No. You never trust AC's beach.
Nope. You step on, you might get some glass in your foot.
Never ever do that. And if you are, go during the day where you can certainly see everything around you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but that's good. I've never been to Wildwood, but I've heard good things about it for the most part. It's a very family-friendly town, right? Beach town, So.
No, it's really good. It's really good.
Yeah, that's good.
So
let's get started.
Let's talk about reciprocity.
I can't say that word, so for me, it's going to be
reciprocate, reciprocity.
Exactly, because it's just one of those words. For some reason, I can't. I sound dumb saying so.
All good. That's why we're here.
Yes, exactly. So, with that sense, because I remember when I first asked Adonis a few days ago to step in for Joe, and he came up with this idea pretty immediately. So I was like, any ideas of what you want to talk about?
Boom.
Right. So he had made a reel on his Instagram discussing how not to take things personal. So you want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to talk about.
Yeah.
So not taking things personal. The importance of that is this, because it protects your mental health, right? So basically what I said is that the reflection of other people's actions and behaviors are usually something that has to do with unhealed wounds or how they feel about themselves. So, they're projecting any type of insecurity or anything towards you. It's not about you.
Right.
And it never was about you. And even if it seems like it is about you, it's not about you.
Right. And that's what I think humans struggle with, though, right? That we tend to, internalize it. That's what I'm looking for.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like, depending on how you grow up, obviously, we tend to be a tiny bit self-centered in a lot of our approaches and things.
Sure.
And we think that the world revolves around us. And we think that everything is about us. So we always end up in this crazy loop of, if it fits, then it's about me.
I like that. If it fits, it's about me.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
every single time. Like, even if it's like a percentile of oh, well, they got to be talking about me because she said something about people with black hair and I have black hair. I'm like,
right.
But she didn't say any texture. So it's like, you're just taking it as it is.
Right. Right. And then how do you think that relates to how we grow up? I mean, do you feel that there could be something in our childhood that starts that?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? Or could a parent maybe avoid that in any kind of sense?
I feel like
avoidance is pretty difficult sometimes, but...
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I feel like life would just naturally happen. The best thing a parent could do is just to make the child aware.
Okay.
That's the best thing you can do, because ultimately, in order for you to fully grasp the experience, you have to experience it. You need practical experience and, interaction with the topic or the subject. That being said, a lot of our behaviors or mannerisms that we have when we become adults or teenagers, 9 times out of 10, if not 10 out of 10, has something to do with some type of childhood trauma that we experienced growing up.
Right.
Almost every time.
Yeah.
Because it's like, why is this person so angry, or why are they always so sad? Maybe something happened when they were growing up where those were the only emotions that were acceptable to be kind of, I guess, communicated or expressed.
Yeah, that's true. And that's what it is too, right? It's a lot of it does come with expression, right? And communication, and how that all plays a role in growing up, because I feel, a lot of times too, right? I mean, as children, we're told by our parents kind of how to react to things, right? I mean, if you think about it, if we're feeling upset or if we're feeling happy, we tend to go to our parents or our caregivers and then kind of go from there.
Yeah, every time, because it's like, I made a reel a long time ago. Feels like a long time ago. Talking about love and how when you're first exposed to love is usually by a caretaker, a parent, a loved one, whatever the case may be, but that is your first experience.
Yeah.
So if your first experience to love is very toxic, but you don't know because that's all you ever knew, and then you get into a relationship where you start making friends, and then your type of love is not what they're used to.
Yeah.
That's very subjective. We could say, well, this is the way I grew up, this is the way you grew up, so it's there's going to be a lot of gray area, but there's also just intuitively what we know to be what true love really looks like. So if growing up, neglect was the love that you were raised on versus someone who was raised on more expressive and attentive love.
Yeah.
When you get into that friendship or relationship, just relationship in general, it may look like you're doing everything that you need to do because when you were raised, it was all neglectful love.
Exactly.
So it's kind of that when we talk about someone who was raised on survival versus someone who was raised on love, and how that could drastically change your upbringing. And
then also change how you interact with others specifically, right? Because, you only know that one type of love, that one type of caring, if you will. And then that's how it's going to be on your relationships, your friendships. And then that's what we're talking about with the reciprocation, right? Or how not to take things personal, or how we do internalize it. Because most of the time, people cope by projecting. I heard that once. I don't know if you told me that.
Probably, yeah. It sounds like something I would say.
Adonis might have been the one who told me that. But someone along the line, I either heard it somewhere or maybe it was Adonis, had told me most people cope by projecting.
Yeah.
Right? Is it people, you are experiencing something and then you're usually projecting it onto other people. and then without even realizing it.
Yeah, I mean, just think about it, right? And this is something that I'm slowly working on, is cultivating a men's space where men can come together and just have a safe space to communicate and express these things that society deems to be non-masculine.
Yep.
So typically when a person projects, at least from personal experience, and I can only speak from my personal experience and my observations, is that when someone shows that they value you and you don't know how to reciprocate that or even receive it, you're going to only do your best that you know of how to reciprocate, quote unquote, love.
Yes.
Right? But now take that same principle, right, or that same concept and apply it to venting. If you're never given a space to be fully safe and fully open, and the second you feel safe around someone, boom.
Yeah.
Whenever something happens and I get angry, I'm going to hit the easiest target because it's
Yep.
a space where I feel fully free and safe.
Yeah, that's true. I like that.
So it's just like the reciprocity. Then I guess we'll kind of just slowly creep into
Slowly
that,
go into that.
right? So I feel like this word has been kind of servicing social media for a long time, at least for the past year. Reciprocity, this reciprocity that. If you can't reciprocate this, I don't want you in my life. Blah 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 blah.
Right.
But there's a double-edged sword to that, right? There's always two sides to every coin. So that's one aspect.
Right.
But what if the person that you're asking to reciprocate can't, because they might have a lot of stuff going on in their life where it's literally blocking them
Yes.
from reciprocating, right? And that's the part that no one wants to talk about, because we live in this like microwave society where everyone wants things now.
Yeah.
Right. We want
So true.
we want long-lasting marriages and relationships
Without the work.
while putting McDonald's work ethic in it. And,
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's not a hit or a shot. Nobody works at McDonald's, but realistically, it's like there's McDonald's, is Chick-fil-A. There's no comparison.
Right.
So I'm not going to expect something from someone that I know is giving me crumbs and has only been giving me crumbs.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna have very high expectations of you because you showed me who you are.
Right.
But there's a difference if I see you making the effort
Okay.
to try to reciprocate and you're communicating like, hey, I'm sorry I didn't show up this way, XYZ.
Right.
Versus ghosting.
Right, exactly. Right. So again, like we were talking about before, it's just about expressing and communicating. And I don't know if there's like that fear in a lot of people that if they do express how they truly feel, there may be an argument, or they don't like conflict. That's a huge one, I think, is that most people avoid these conversations because they want things to stay at the rate that they're going or the wavelength that they're going, and sometimes that's not always a good thing, though.
I'm gonna say this very slowly. Comfortability breeds weakness.
You said accountability?
Comfortability
Oh, comfortability. Okay, got it.
breeds weakness. Because when you're comfortable, you literally are stagnant.
Yep.
You're not growing. You're not doing anything to
Yep.
try to like further yourself as a person.
Absolutely.
To become better, to gain a different perspective of how can I be better on this end? How does this person view me? And I'm not saying that your growth should be in direct correlation to how people view you, right? It's
Right,
more of
that's
like
true.
the person you want to become. It's such a hard thing, right? It's such a hard thing to think about. Cause we always want to be comfortable, right? But I think that it's providing those spaces where you can be comfortable. Because with comfortability, it does breed weakness, but it's also, again, two sides to every coin.
Right.
When someone's comfortable, you get the most vulnerable version of them,
Yeah.
right? So, but some people are so used to toxicity, right? That's their comfort level,
Yep.
right? So they don't want anything healthy because they're so used to getting yelled at,
Yes.
cheating, this
Yep.
and the third, and like there's always just having to prove that someone loves you.
Yeah.
And it's like,
tough.
I get it to a certain extent, like, but sometimes things are just things just are. Some things just don't have to be said. Like,
Yeah.
there's oxygen outside. How do you know?
It just is, right?
I'm alive.
right, exactly.
You
Yeah.
know? And it's like, being vulnerable is probably one of the strongest things you can do. And I think that our society makes it seem like vulnerability is being weak.
Oh, 100%.
Right? And it's such a crucial part to your growth, because what vulnerability is to me is, if I'm wrong, I'm able to say, I effed up.
Right.
I'm sorry. Because when you can surrender to control of trying to control every single situation and try to have a certain result of it, you gain new perspective, meaning you gain new growth and wisdom. So imagine if we can normalize more opportunities for growth, more opportunities for people to surrender and give up control. Because the only thing you control is yourself.
Yep.
No,
Very much true.
And we talk about like this, like, if I say something and it offends you, and my intention wasn't to offend you, I'm going to say sorry.
Okay.
Not because, I'm sorry, I didn't mean it that way. If it offended you, you truly felt attacked, I'm sorry.
Right.
And if you allow me, if that sorry was sincere enough for me to kind of explain and go in greater detail what I actually meant, maybe I could clear up some of the confusion and maybe clear up some of what may have, triggered you.
Yeah, and again, the communication, right? And then it's also, I think, important for that person, though, then to express why they might have taken offense to it, right? Or why they might have taken it the wrong way. And I'm not saying that everyone deserves an explanation, of course. Like, I mean, of course, depending on the situation. But I think if you're saying, like, hey, if I said something and it offended you, I'm willing to say, I'm sorry. How could we better it so that doesn't happen again? What did I say, or how did I come across that you took offense to that when that wasn't the intention?
Yeah, and I think such a crucial part is that we can communicate that, us and the individual who quote unquote caused the trigger.
Yeah.
But the person who was triggered needs to communicate and also kind of reflect upon themselves as, I know this person didn't mean anything by it. Because some of the times it's like, if you're triggered about something, usually that has something to do with something that you have kind of stored within, and then absolutely. I just happened to say something that brought those emotions out.
Exactly. And so have you ever experienced that too, where you're having like a bad day and someone just says something, and then you're already feeling like you're not in a good space, and then someone says something as a joke or whatever it may be, and then you are automatically triggered. You take offense to it.
Oh yeah, every time. Every time. So I guess I ask you this question. What does reciprocity look like for you? Because I feel like it's different for everybody.
That's a good question. And you're right. I guess it does look different for everyone. But I guess for me, I think it's just mutual understanding and respect, right? And then also understanding, though, that if I'm going to give you a certain amount of attention or love or energy, that I don't want to say that like I expect the same from you, because I shouldn't. I know we had this conversation before, but it's just more about, hey, this is who I am and this is what I'm going to give. And then if you're not able to give that back for me, you can't really be upset if I take a few steps back.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's exceptions to that rule, right?
Right.
And we talked about this before. You should have low to no expectations of people,
right.
Of just people in general, right? But I feel like if they are in your inner circle, there should be some certain level, because you kind of got through that wall or that doorway where I don't necessarily let people through, and you're in my inner circle, inner tribe.
Yeah.
So it's like the reciprocity should be there, but then it's being able to humanize people in your circle. And say, if I'm going through stuff, I can only imagine you're going through things that we might necessarily not communicate upon.
Yeah, right. That you may not even really know.
Exactly. That's between you, God, and your journal. Whatever you do to kind of express yourself. That other person or entity that you're confiding in only knows your half.
Yep.
Right. And I know, because even in relationships, people want to know ins and outs of their significant other, but realistically they're not going to tell you every single thing.
No,
and that's just something you have to kind of like live with, and that's okay.
That's true.
They're going to tell you what you need to know.
Yeah. Well, what about you though? How does that look for you, or is it very similar?
So it's like that concept of kind of going between like your higher self and your lower self. When I'm in my lower self, it's like a sense of entitlement, right? It's like, this person needs to do this because I'm doing this for them.
Right.
But then there's the higher self where I'm much more understanding. And I'm like, I can't expect me out of everybody.
Yeah.
Because not everyone has ever experienced certain things that I've experienced, or even become aware of certain things that I've become aware of. And when you're able to operate in a certain frequency, I love to call it the love frequency, because I feel like love is very pure in its true essence, what it actually looks like. Not everyone can reciprocate that. Not everyone can receive that, and it has to do with what was their first experience with love, and how was that altered during the way.
Yeah.
So for me, what that would look like is, I'm not saying if I tie your shoe, you need to tie my shoe. I'm saying if me tying your shoe provokes you to do something equivalent to tying my shoe, such as like, hey, I know you were at work, so I cash out you $10 to get some lunch.
Yep.
Or, hey, I bought you these shoes because I know we've been talking about it. Like, it's like little stuff like that.
And that kind of reminds me of love languages too, right?
That part.
Right? Because I know my love language, my number one and my number two. And my husband's first love language is my fifth. So least important to me in that sense, right? And so, but I remember reading into something of, don't love your partner with your love language. Love your partner with their love language. And
say it one more time.
Right? And that's so hard for people, because I think it's because I'm trying to word this in a way that's going to make sense, but that's, I think the issue is that, so my first love language is words of affirmation. So I affirm my husband all the time. You know what I mean? And so again, I think subconsciously I do that because I want that love back. And I'm not saying that he doesn't do that, but if I'm constantly doing that to him every day, that's how I love. And so then I want that reciprocation back, but he, right. And then, but it's different because it's like he shows me his love differently, and that's okay. But I have to learn how to kind of get out of that concept of thinking like, hey, I love him this way because that's my love language, but I have to learn to do it differently.
Yeah, so it's kind of going back to that concept of just being open.
Yeah, right.
It's so my primary love language is acts of service.
That's my sister's.
How I show love, and that's how I like to receive.
Because you mentioned that too. Did you realize that? Like you were mentioning acts of service in your examples, like
cash
apping you or something, or showing up with like food or whatever. Like that's
because usually your love languages have something to do with your childhood upbringings.
Absolutely.
So for me, it was a sense of neglect growing up because of situations that I won't touch on right now. So now in my relationships, whether it be a friendship or romantic relationship, I look for action because words don't mean anything to me.
Right. Got it.
And I've been in numerous situations where the words and actions didn't align. And that it's a mental health podcast that messes up your mental health drastically.
Absolutely.
Because in a way you're manipulating, and then when I try to hold you accountable, you gaslight the hell out of me.
Right. Yeah, right.
So it's the concept of being open when you're in these friendships, relationships, whatever the case may be, is that acts of service is my primary love language. But I'm willing to have a secondary love language if I really love and care about you.
Sure.
So like my one friend,
like that.
hers will probably be words of affirmation, right? So it's, even if I know internally that I didn't mean something a certain way, or maybe my body language might say I'm pissed off at you, even though I'm already just like very chill.
Right.
I will communicate like, hey, I don't know if it seemed convincing enough, but I'm not mad at you.
Okay.
It's like
so you go out of your way to...
Because if you really truly care about somebody, you would do something like that.
True.
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I like the way you put that too. It really does relate a lot to your childhood. Like my second one, I believe, is physical... I can't remember. I think it's either physical touch or quality time. I don't remember what my second one was. But I think... me and my husband's, I think, second one is the same, I think. From what I remember when I made him take the quiz. Even though I already knew what his first love language is. Yeah. But, and again, his is 100% related to his childhood. I know it, because it's like my husband shows love through gifts, and he loves gifting people. Like, it's just, he does it with my parents. with my sisters, you know, and then with me too. And I think a lot of that comes with the way that he grew up, right? Like not like maybe not being able to have those things or be able to provide people with those things too. So yeah. And then, but a lot of I try my best to think I'm like, did my parents not affirm me enough as a child? You know what I mean? And my parents are great. I love them. And I don't think they did anything like that on purpose. And I remember having a conversation actually like that with my mom once. I said, did you ever compliment me and my sisters when we were younger? And because I think I was like watching a podcast and they had mentioned that. I was like, I don't know. I don't remember that. And my mom, she was honest. She's like, I don't really remember. She's like, but we would encourage you when you did a good job, like at soccer, because, you know, we did sports and dance all growing up. So they're like, oh, like when you did it, like you made a goal. Great game today, or that was a great performance today.
So it sounds like it was a little bit of conditional encouragement.
Right. Like it wasn't something like you're beautiful and you are amazing at this. And again, I don't, my parents, it's not like they went out of their way to definitely not do that on purpose. I just think some people just don't think about it like that when they maybe have kids. I don't know, you know? So
it kind of just goes back to the concept of humanizing people.
Exactly.
Right. So it's like, that's where the reciprocity kicks in, right? The double-edged sword of it. We want these things from the people that we have these titles on. Like, oh, because this person is your mom, your friend, husband, whatever the case may be.
Right.
We have a certain level of reciprocity that we would love to receive from them. Right? And I'm still debunking, like, what exactly reciprocity looks like, right? But we also have to remember that people are people, and just how you're going through things, they're going through things, and they might not have the tools that you have to be able to kind of compartmentalize it.
Yeah,
like, hey, I could have a mental breakdown later, but right now I'm going to be present with you and have a conversation,
and then I'll go and cry in my car when I'm on my way home. Right.
Exactly. But it's just like being able to humanize people is so important. So important.
Yeah, I like that though.
Yes, it's the expectation goes away. You know,
humanizing that they also go through their own. Don't put people in a box just because their mom, their boyfriend, the girlfriend. Right. And that takes some learning. You know,
that's self-reflection. A lot of self-reflection.
But I think that's actually one of the most important things I've learned, and like throughout, I feel like I've been healing a lot as the years have gone on. But that's why I think, like we were talking about before we started recording, that 2021 was such a good year for me because I just grew a lot and I took more time to meditate, to journal, to be more present with everything. And that's one of the things I realized was that I try not to take things so personal anymore, even though I'm still a long ways of doing that at times. But I now give people more the benefit of the doubt that, hey, they're doing this because of their own experiences, nothing to do with me, especially when it comes to my friends, or not, well, I shouldn't say really so much especially, but I just noticed that even in my husband, like, you know, we had two different upbringings. We are opposite in a lot of different ways. And sometimes there are times where I catch myself being upset about certain things. And I'm like, you know what? No, it's different because I'm experiencing this in a different light than he is. And that's okay.
All you can ever do in those situations is just bring clarity. You know, I feel like when we get into any type of relationship, we want these people to read our minds.
Yeah.
We're like, well, we've been together for this long.
Yes.
You know, whatever. We've been friends for this long. But I'd rather be an over-communicator than an under-communicator. Yep, absolutely. I'd rather tell you what's truly going on. And it's something that I'm working on this season of my healing is honesty. Being 100% honest with myself and those people and the people around me, no matter how brutal it may feel. It may hurt. Yeah. But I'd rather it not be any gray area or confusion. Yeah. And I just let you know how I truly feel. That's just the direction people got to go. Yeah. Just be more honest.
Yeah, no, for sure. For sure. All right. Well, is there anything else that comes to mind, Adonis, for you with this topic? I mean, it was good. We had a good conversation.
No, it was good. But I guess closing words would just be...
yeah, we have to come up with an affirmation. So since you're...
Oh, yeah, you know, my little...
you have to do it for us.
Okay.
What's an affirmation related to what we talked about today? What comes to mind?
I will not take things personal.
Yes.
Regardless of how the situation may seem.
Absolutely.
It's not about me. It has everything to do with them, and I can only control how I receive and how I project my understanding of the situation.
Love it. All right. That sounds good. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, Adonis.
Of course.
I mean, we'll see you next episode too, but thank you. Yeah. We hope everyone has a great week.